somebody who can understand the bigger pictures, and then somebody can also bridge the gap between the business and the technology. All of these skills are coming handy right now. I think I would say the intention was to make them understand the real world challenges, because a lot of times you see people thinking about consumer AI.
Sounds like WGU is a great culture of innovation. You're holding hackathons, you're getting people in growth.
AI is not just a tool. Can be used like more like a teammate, somebody like an intern who has more creativity, more energy, and you can use to augment your work.
Welcome to another episode of AI Product Leader. Every week we shine a light on what it really takes to join the AI world. Real conversations with AI builders, founders, product leaders, experts, technologists, and everything in between to understand where the world of AI really is right now and what that path looks like, whether you're building AI products or a career in AI. Have a question or topic? Email us at support@aicareerboost.com to join the conversation. I'm your host, Polly Allen. I'm the founder of AI Career Boost, where I help my time helping product leaders navigate the world of AI and thrive in leadership roles. I've spent my career on both the product management and development sides of the product development fence, and I'm an Alexa AI principal product manager, where I successfully launched the very first generative AI answers on Alexa back in 2020. And I'm super excited to welcome our guest today. Ram Nimmakayala is a strategic AI and product data leader with nearly 20 years of experience driving large-scale, high-impact transformations across edtech, telecom, and enterprise technology. He's currently leading AI and ML product strategy at Western Governors University, WGU, and Ram is advancing personalized learning and intelligent automation for millions of learners. He previously led multi-million-dollar AI initiatives at Ericsson, including cutting-edge 5G projects, and with AT&T, NVIDIA, and at Warner Brothers. So such a stellar lineup of impressive initiatives. A recognized thought leader, executive fellow, and mentor, Ram is passionate about building ethical, human-centered AI systems and shaping the future of work through inclusive innovation. Thanks so much for joining us today, Ram.
Thank you so much, Polly. Great to be here.
Such a pleasure to have you on. So I listed this immense, impressive background of accomplishments, but I'd love for our audience to get to know just a little bit about your background. Like, how did you even get into tech in the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say I think my career was slightly different. Unlike most of the people coming from technology to business, I've started my career mostly on the business side of the analytics. Back then, I think there was not much of analytics. I think it was mostly data mining or data analysis, business intelligence. Pretty much, I've seen all that world working on the business side of the analytics, and then I got so much curious about learning like machine learning, AI, and everything. And then I came to the States, did my second master's in analytics, and there were like very few programs back then in US. I think two programs probably in 2013 timeframe. Then I kind of moved up into like core analytics, like doing modeling, being a real data scientist for many years, and then slowly understood the larger picture of the analytics world, and then slowly pivoted into AI, and then right now I'm mostly on the technology side of the AI, but yeah, it's been great. I mean, if I look back, I think I've done pretty much everything from end to end across the data and ML life cycle.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see that transformation coming from more of a business. Your undergrad was industrial engineering, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, and then business MBA, and then analytics, of course, is like this place that's kind of crosses the tech and the business worlds, but migrating all the way into deep tech and AI and ML. Now at WGU, it's the largest nonprofit online university, isn't that right?
That's right.
Yeah, incredible. But it's also a powerhouse in terms of innovation, digital innovation. There's so much going on there in terms of AI ML. Can you tell us a little more about your role? You mentioned you're more on the tech side. Are you a kind of a liaison translator?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually joined WGU more like a senior manager data engineering space, like was leading the data engineering team for almost 18 months.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, like the way you said, they brought in like people from various parts of the world, especially across AI, data, infrastructure. all of the engineering, right? Like you see
Yeah.
a lot of people coming from corporate world and doing, like, cutting it, like somebody who has done and uh, seen all the real world examples. So when I've joined WGU, I've was mostly on the data side of it, but then because I had like consulting experience before joining WGU, I had worked across the end to end, and then when I saw there are like a lot of opportunities in the product management space, especially people trying to figure out things from AI standpoint and the technology platform standpoint. I felt like, that's the way to go in terms of my career. And um, actually, to be honest with you, after having worked in the AI space in Ericsson, I thought like I could do a lot more better in terms of data,
Yeah.
because I understand the value of the data even more. So when a lot of times people actually kind of jump into the AI part of it, but without even having the understanding foundational part, foundational understanding of the data. So with that ethos in my mind, I kind of joined data, and I spent a lot of time figuring out, like, the core things that are needed from the AI standpoint.
Yeah.
And right now, like, there's so much happening with across AI, which I will definitely talk about it.
It's there's so many interesting pieces. I was going to ask specifically though. I feel like coming in with a data background, did you feel like that was a superpower when it came to AI? You're able to quickly see what's feasible or what's not, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think not just the data, because I had worked in the business side, on the business side of the analytics as well. So somebody who can understand the bigger picture, somebody who can also get your hands dirty, like, by going into the data, and then somebody can also like bridge the gap between the business and the technology. So all of these skills are coming handy right now. I think I would say my product experience now is more fulfilling because of the understanding of all of those basic elements.
His background.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, it's just so good to see that being brought to bear because so many times people only have that technological perspective of what's possible, as opposed to what's really needed. I'd love to hear. You're deep in the education space, and it's one of the most, I think, disrupted spaces by AI. What do you think are some of the biggest opportunities in terms of improving education from delivery, et cetera? Like, what are the places AI is making the biggest impact?
I mean, like any big enterprise, there's a lot that you could do. There's a lot of potential from AI standpoint, but um, I would say WGU is an outlier in terms of the innovation. I think recently I did a talk at EDUCAUSE, and then I also did a talk at DGW, sorry, EDW and DGIQ,
Mm,
where I was trying to show them the audience about the hype of the Gartner hype cycle. And
mm,
then you look at the hype of the data literacy and AI literacy, and then I put my WGU on in terms of, like, somewhere in the fourth quadrant, fourth phase, just like, the productivity phase, where you're already seeing that productivity coming from some of the initiatives that we have done. In fact, you won't believe, like, we had invested in Databricks 9 years ago when people
yeah.
haven't even heard about Databricks.
Yeah.
So that's the level of foundation that we had. We have our homegrown MLOps platform. We are building Gen AI chatbot platform. So right from the time you see students coming through the for the admissions, like starting from the outreach analytics to students getting through the financial aid, or the through the admissions to getting access to the learning management, and then through the evaluations, assessments, to becoming a graduate, and then alumni, across the life cycle, pretty much we are like automating every aspect of it. There are various initiatives that are happening, not just the AI. I think there are some places where we are doing a lot of analytics work. I mean, obviously, these all these things need to come together. We only think like only from AI and Gen AI standpoint,
Yeah.
but a lot of the times, we have built so many foundational analytical models where we understand the nuances of the students, and then the faculty outcomes. So now we are bringing everything together and then trying to orchestrate across like the large scale, so that we can take value out of the data that we have built.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, so it looks like did it start with an assessment of like every point of the student life cycle in terms of thinking where are their opportunities?
Yeah, so we do like, I think of WGU like as a more like a, I mean, it probably people may think that I'm trying to exaggerate, but we kind of operate like Netflix in online space, where
Yeah,
we have been doing like, course sequencing, course recommendations. We understand the indicators, like we look at the on-time progress, like various things, from the student perspective. I mean,
yeah,
of course, because there has been a lot of growth over the last few years. Our faculty is getting tested, especially, you know providing the right information to the right student at the right time. So how can we like optimize some of these conversations, like, we have our faculty talking to the students, mentor talking to the students. So we've automated some of that, like through using Gen AI, taking all of those calls, transcribing all of that information into summaries, and then taking next best actions, giving that to the mentors, and then mentors kind of validate it. We are not like fully automating it again,
okay,
keeping the human in the loop. How do you make sure that we understand all the edge cases, everything, and then thinking about the scale later, right? So,
yeah.
and we have our AI hackathons as well, like where we bring in people from all over the university. And then last week we had like 92 members participating in AI hackathon.
Oh, awesome! Wow.
um, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Was there anything cool they built you can talk about? You can tell me if it's proprietary.
No, I think the intention was to make them understand the real world challenges,
Yeah,
because a lot of times you see people thinking about consumer AI, thinking that just because you have access to ChatGPT is obviously, they have done a lot of work, 7 years in the stealth mode, and then the chat gpt got launched into the 2022, right? So till that point of time, nobody knows like how much of work
going
happened
on.
in the back in the scenes, right? So now likewise, when we look at the people, like the maturity of the organizations, there are like varying level of maturities. Now when we bring all of these people together, they kind of appreciate more like the real world challenges. So we've intentionally brought uh, 92 people from various parts of the organizations, from mentors, faculties, staff, employees, architecture, legal, risk, you name it, right? Like we've selected like all the AI champions. And it was not like, people just wanted to participate in hackathon, they'll get the seat at the table. No, they have to go through a rigorous process of submitting like their interest and all of that. Like there was a process. And then finally we have chosen, like out of 500 people, like we've chosen 92 people. Now
Nice.
each team has like every participant, every person from every function. So they all have to work together, and now they understand the real world perspective of like what does it take to actually bring an AI product from a real world perspective, right? So after the hackathon, they started appreciating even more that, oh my god, it takes a lot, because to even converge into a particular point, right? Like on a particular
Decide what to build and why, right?
yeah, exactly. So so it was very pretty awesome. I mean, I think,
Wow.
yeah. So that's the level of maturity we have at WGU.
Yeah.
And not just the WGU. I think I've seen in my consulting world, I've worked with all the tier 1 tier 2 telcos across North America region. And I feel like initially when I was trying to join this education space, I had my own apprehensions. And
Right.
I was
Are they
like,
going to
am I
be? Are they
going
good?
into...
Yeah. Are you going somewhere slow, slow moving, a lot of resistance?
Yes, exactly. All thinking about the red tape, bureaucracy, and all of that. So I was like not very sure. But when I talked to these people, when I kind of understood the foundational work that they have done, and some of the choices, technology choices they have made, and we kind of believe in um, taking tech tool agnostic choices, because I'm on the platform side of the house.
Yeah.
So whatever choices that I make today, we are not really tied to any particular vendor. We are actually going with open source methodologies. But
Mm.
there are some vendors that actually kind of give you that flexibility. Example is one example is Databricks. So we use Databricks. And then of course many other technologies which I don't want to mention right now, but
That's okay. Inside baseball. But no, that openness is really interesting. I think too many companies, I get so many people coming to me saying, what's the best model? And you're like, the best model is going to be different 2 weeks from now. But
correct,
you want to be
exactly.
able to just move as quickly as the speed of the industry, build
Correct.
that capacity, use platforms that'll let you do that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
think very rightly said. I think that's the same point I'm having with my leaders. So um, I think I was watching something on the YouTube, I think by Kevin from OpenAI, and he was telling in the video in the podcast that we have to think that the models, my model is the worst model right now, and
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
exactly what I believe in, and I feel like 18 months ago, our models were so like okay, I mean, but now when we have custom models which are like so cutting edge, and I feel like the models are going to converge at some point,
yeah,
and what matters to the companies is, I think, their data and their domain expertise.
yeah. Gotcha. Exactly. That collection of data over time and exactly domain expertise in the space. Getting back to something you mentioned about being worried about going into education,
Right.
I'd love to talk about culture change. And it sounds like WGU is a great culture of innovation. You're holding hackathons, you're getting people engrossed. Has there been resistance? I know a lot of universities I talk to, there's resistance from faculty. Their AI is cheating, this kind of thing. Is that something you faced at WGU, or has it already always been the place that embraced innovation pretty early on?
I mean, I think from a reality standpoint, I mean, wherever you go you will have these kind of people.
Hmm.
I think our leaders understand that part of it. And I'm if I say that we don't have that, I don't think people will believe me, but we do have that. I think in pockets we do have that,
Yeah,
but I think our goal is like, how do we empower our faculty, or how do we make them understand the reality? And
yeah,
AI is not just a tool. AI is like, can be used like more like a teammate, somebody like an intern who has more creativity, more energy, and it can be used to augment your work. So these are some of the things that we kind of you know um talk to these people, and then make them understand all these things. There are, like, some places, I think you definitely have to be make them be part of the process, give them the key to the kingdom.
hmm,
um, Obviously, and especially um, helping them to decide on what is good for their job, right? Like, when you're
yes,
talking about AI biases or explainable AI, all of these things. And as a product manager, I may not have the expertise to decide all of those things. I think they are the subject matter experts.
yeah,
So I feel like, especially when you're trying to look after the edge cases and the long tail problems, normally, right? So all of those things, I think they have more handle. So I feel like, so when we do any experimentation, we make them part of the central part of the problem, and then give them the more access to all of the stuff, like all of the data, all of the models, so that they
mm.
do all the testing properly, and evaluations, and then only then probably it goes to the next phase, where we're trying to productionize it.
Oh, amazing. It sounds like you're doing a really good job of building trust, and that's a piece
Correct,
a lot
correct,
of
exactly. I think
organizations.
you summarize it really well. Yeah, I think it's all about building that trust.
Amazing. Well, from a beginnings of coming from an analytics business background all the way to leading AI and ML initiatives at one of the most innovative and largest educational institutions in the world, it's quite the journey. And for folks who are interested in getting into AI, following in your footsteps, how did you do that transformation into AI and machine learning? What caused that kind of pivot for you?
Yeah, I mean, interesting question. I think if I have to look back, I think I've always been a lot more curious in terms of learning new things. At a given point of time, I subscribe to like 6 or 7 courses, and not that I am completing all the courses, but I know like where to go and what to
Yeah.
learn. And I feel like, as long as you're core to solving the business problem, not thinking from a technology standpoint, but still you have to have an eye of what are some of the future trends, where is the industry moving,
Yeah.
how do you stay updated, and talking to people like you, I would say think these are some of the things that I've been doing. And again, I think lately I realized having the importance of having mentors. I think first 10 years, 12 years, probably I didn't have like a solid mentor,
Hmm.
but now I have like three mentors, one
Oh,
from the
amazing.
technology standpoint, one from the business standpoint, one from the C level, conversations, understanding like how do you get the strategic alignment. So I feel like I learn a lot from them, and it's not easy to get their time, but it's a relationship that you have to nurture and build and get their trust, like the way you said. So I feel like somebody who's trying to get into this space, I think choose like, I mean, have like good mentors,
Hmm. Find
and
mentors.
then
Yeah.
learn from their experiences. And I'm trying to give it back as well, right? I've mentored around like 40 to 45 people, I think probably touching almost 50 now, next year. Yeah, so I've mentored like so many of them, and then all of them are like at various companies, doing really well.
Yeah.
And very recently, like one guy came back and he said like he's leading a 7-member team. I posted this on my LinkedIn as well. So
Hmm.
I felt so good about it. Like, he was like an intern under me.
Yeah.
And then now he's leading a 7-member team, and he's like the director of customer analytics at one company.
Oh,
And I felt so good. So I
so
feel like,
rewarding.
yeah. So I
You're
feel
you're a
like,
grandpa. A very young grandpa, of course,
yeah,
in terms of business.
yes.
That's so important. Okay, so if you were to boil down your advice for folks looking to get into AI, how to get started, what advice would you give them?
I think technology will evolve. I feel like technology is going to change.
Yeah.
I think what matters to you is like how do you build your, like a company, they build their moats. We as a person, we have to build our moats. Like what is, you need to have your own domain expertise or functional expertise, whether it is industry expertise or functional expertise or competency,
Yeah.
something that you need to have. And then of course, keeping your ground on the feet, and then staying having a bigger goals in your life, I would say. I think that's probably that's one ethos I believe in. And because I come from the industrial engineering background, I believe in continuous improvement. So
Mm.
continuously learning and staying
Continuous learning.
updated. Yeah.
Absolutely, this is great advice, Ram. It's really inspirational to see your story and hear about some of the stuff you're developing. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Wonderful. Well, I think we're going to wrap up for today. Ram, if people are interested in learning more about education, AI in this space, can they reach out to you? How can they reach you?
Yeah, I'm usually super active on LinkedIn, on Twitter as well.
Oh,
I think, yeah,
fantastic.
definitely they can follow me on LinkedIn, or hit me up on Twitter. Either ways, it's fine.
Fantastic. We'll include those in the show notes. Wonderful. Well, that's been another episode of AI After Hours. Ram, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your expertise. I'm sure it's going to be really valuable to a lot of people. Thank you.
Pleasure being here, Polly. Thank you so much.